Hey there. Alright, let's get everything set up. Got our game chat 2. Test. Is that working too? Alright, great. Alright, let's get this going. Alright, so let's look at this very first kingdom and the very first match commentary I've ever done. Cool. Alright, well, first match commentary for somebody else. This is Kyle01 versus treyisajedi98. Guessing by their usernames, these people are way too young, and I don't like it, but whatever. Alright, so we've got, in terms of our non-terminals, we got Mountain Village and Chariot Race. For our draw cards, we've got Wild Hunt. For attacks, we have many options with Knights, Pillage, Tormentor. Oh, also we have Den of Sin for draw. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Other miscellaneous payload, Duplicate and Bridge Troll, and then Doctor for trashing. So this board definitely has a lot of what you need. A lot of alternate VP, and a lot of attacks. So this could be potentially kind of overwhelming, especially for newer players to figure out. I don't know how good these players are. I've never really seen them play before, so we'll see what choices they make. Starting out with treyisajedi98, opens 5-2 here, and the opening knight is Vander. This is intriguing. I think I would be inclined to open Tormentor here. At least that's something I'd consider. Maybe you could open Doctor. Den of Sin is an interesting choice. It gets past the 2, which doesn't help you. The 2 doesn't help you at all. And Den of Sin draw is pretty good to have. Early draw, non-terminal draw especially, is alright. Kyle responds with the Doctor gain on 3, which I don't love. I think you want to overpay for Doctor if you can. I'd rather do Chariot Race than overpay for Doctor 1, I think, if you're considering that. But ultimately, you want to hit 5 frequently so you can start attacking the Knights pile, because that's going to be probably the most important pile in this game. Maybe Bridge Troll, maybe Knights, but so Kyle being able to get that turn 2 silver is going to help him a bit. So Trey got a turn 2 silver is what I mean. It's a little hard to follow. They're playing kind of quick. So Trey's got another Den of Sin going, and I think having 2 is okay, but at this point I'd really want to start attacking the Knights, I think. Here he isn't going to be able to. He's got 4, he's got 3 estates in hand, so it's an awkward time to buy Doctor. This is probably a time for Mountain Village, maybe, or Chariot Race, maybe another silver. So far, Kyle's Doctor has been working out okay for him. He's gotten an estate so far. That's always good. But otherwise, Kyle's been building up on silvers, which is just fine here. Kyle has a natural 5, and opening Sir Vander here, or grabbing Sir Vander here is a good choice. It'll let him attack the Den of Sins and silvers, and hopefully he can carry that knight's momentum. This would be a great time to respond with a knight on Trey's side. He's going with gold, going for more of a clumpy money strategy, and if Kyle can't get a stack of knights going fast enough, that may be able to work. But, you know, Trey is potentially vulnerable to a lot of knights being played. I guess with the Doctor limiting his economy, it's a little frustrating. He is able to get a copper trash there. Alright, and unfortunately, Trey missed 5 again, which is not amazing. He keeps getting those 3 estate hands that make him not lucky. Mountain Village, I think, is a fine play there. Sir Vander misses on his first thing. So if I were Kyle, I would definitely pick up the Sylvia here. Absolutely. Get to 2-0 Knights advantage. Dame Natalie is a huge pickup for Trey here. That could really swing things, being able to get free Chariot Races for a little bit. And he's still not going for Knights. I think he just doesn't... I think he might just not be too familiar with that. May not get the synergy with Chariot Race. So Kyle has a real opportunity to get some momentum here. If he can grab Natalie... I understand why he took the Mountain Village, because he just doesn't have any and he has 3 terminals, but I think I would have dealt with the collision for a turn or 2 just to get Natalie off the board. Maybe he knows that Trey isn't going to grab the knights. He's been really reluctant to so far. Looks like Trey is going for kind of a 2 Den of Sin big money thing. And I guess if he never thins, it's going to be hard for the knights to hit things. So this could work out okay for him if he gets lucky. But here, yeah, definitely take the Dame Natalie. And now that Josephine is the knight, probably the worst knight, and the opponent is not grabbing any, I think if I were Kyle, I would stick with the 3 knights you've got now and kind of build around that. Maybe Mountain Villages and Den of Sins, and just try to play those knights as often as you can, see if you can attack those silvers and gold. Because right now, Trey is kind of lucked into a 2-province lead at turn 10 here, just by getting really good silver-gold draws. So it's going to be a little tricky. That said, there's so much alternate VP here that something Kyle might be able to consider if they can build fast enough would be essentially just ignoring the province pile and scoring off Wild Hunt and Chariot Race. I think he could do it. The problem is he doesn't have that many gains. Bridge Trolls are plus buy, doesn't have any of those yet, and it's going to take him quite a while to get his deck to that point, because he hasn't had the most amazing Doctor luck. So we will see what he can do. I think I would do Doctor and Sylvia here, because Vander is not very good if you don't have opposing knights to hit it on, so it's the most skippable. Oh, I guess he can grab another Mountain Village and play all 3. That's cool. So yeah, definitely Doctor for, I'd probably say... Oh, everything's in his discard. Okay. So he's going to trigger a weird shuffle here if he plays Doctor, and that's something to be wary of, but I think you still do it. You play your Doctor, try to hit 3 copper at once. That would be amazing. And he got one of the mountain. He got the Mountain Village on the other side, which has definitely been a reliability helper for Trey. So, yeah, he could definitely end on 4 here and get another Mountain Village and kind of keep, or even a Chariot Race. Either way is fine, I think. But it looks like he ran out of actions. Yeah, okay, he didn't have enough actions for the Doctor, and it avoids the shuffle anyway, so that's perfectly reasonable. Duplicate, I guess it's another way to get gains, so it's kind of like Bridge Troll here, and you do want a lot of components if you're in his position, so not the worst move. If I were him here, I would duplicate Mountain Village, get 2 of those. Looks like he's thinking about it. We'll see. Meanwhile, Trey is going all in on big money, getting another gold. We'll see. So he did not duplicate the Mountain Village. It's a little disappointing because he'd be able to put it right back on the Tavern mat now if he did. All he can really take here is a silver. I'd play the Chariot Race just to get some more information about what you want in your hand. Doesn't look like he needs the other Mountain Village, so I'd leave it there, I guess. So now he's at 7. This is where Bridge Troll would really come in handy. And this is probably, if he's going to go big for the big build, this is the time I'd want to do it. Den of Sin is another great move, especially because it's immediate draw, and his deck has none yet, so I guess you can wait on the Bridge Troll so you have draw. That makes more sense. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, so, Actually, I think Kyle has probably a better idea of the tempo of his deck than I do. Meanwhile, Trey has started splashing Chariot Race into his money deck a little bit, and he managed to get another gold. So his 3 golds are definitely going to be helping him. It's mainly a matter of if he's going to be able to survive the more sustained attacks that Kyle is able to put up now. And with Mountain Village and his great shuffle control, he's been able to get specific cards in place. So he's in a spot where you have 5 actions when this is done. I would use the Doctor on copper here. You could potentially get your, only 1 bad hand to worry about. I think there's still a Mountain Village or something in there anyway. And you might be able to thin 3 whole cards out, but we'll see how he plays it. Oh, I see. So he's going to use Mountain Village to grab that Chariot Race. That gives him another card. That's good. If you play the Doctor first here, though, you get to have a lot more control over what that Chariot Race is drawing. So I definitely think Doctor would have been the better first play. You want to be able to control the top of your deck when you can to get free points, but he'll figure it out. Doctor on... You definitely want to do copper here, right? Just such better odds. But he managed to hit the estate, so, and he would have only hit 1 copper anyway, so that works out for him. He's at 6. I thought his deck had more economy than that. I'm a little confused here. Gold's fine. Duplicating the gold, a little unnecessary at this point because you don't have any extra buys anyway, but I'm not sure. Maybe he's not feeling too confident in his build order. I think 2 more Dens of Sin probably would have been the move there, actually, so you have a consistent draw. But he can get a Den of Sin here. And he's going deeper into Knights. There's Sir Martin, so maybe he'll just, fall into the plus buy that way. And meanwhile, Trey is starting to sputter a little bit, finally buying his first Knight here, but he's left Sir Bailey open, which is, probably the best Knight. At least on this board. Maybe Damiana is up there too. So now, in this case, yeah, this is pretty clear. You just play your Doctor, try to get some coppers out of there. And you do get 1. And then you can Dame Sylvia, and you can grab that Sir Bailey. I would definitely take Sir Bailey over Den of Sin, even though draw is a more pressing concern, just because you do not want to leave that for Trey's deck. I would give him a big window to hold the line and keep his momentum. You want to make him have to take a more difficult Knight to play with, I think. I guess his deck has so few terminals that all of the Knights are about the same for him at this point. Does he even have any terminals, actually, Trey? I'm not sure. So, there's some legitimate argument here. Does he have the, doesn't have the thing on his tavern mat. Alright. So he ends up going with Mountain Village, which I'm extremely skeptical of. I think he's very good on actions right now, but fortunately, I guess not that fortunately, Trey got a province. So now Trey has a 3-province lead, and if Kyle's going to go for the more ambitious strategy, he's going to need to buff out his payload a bit, and hit some more draw, so maybe he just doesn't have time with the build order he's been going with. It's possible Trey will be able to squeak this one out before he affords to lose his components too much. But so far, Trey has lost 2 golds, 2 chariot races, 2 mountain villages, and a Den of Sin, so I think ultimately Kyle will be able to persevere here. If you hear that fun sound of the leaf blower in the background, my apologies. I can't do anything about it. My landlord's replacing the windows next month. For now, it's just a fun quirk of this commentary. I hate it as much as you do. So, Kyle going for the Den of Sin to increase his draw power, I think is good. Trey is starting to run out of cards to play with, basically. The 1-2 punch of Knights and Chariot Race is always very good because you're removing some of their higher value cards. But now he has some valuable information that Sir Martin's coming. Which means that Sir Vander play is actually very tempting right now, but what did he play instead of that? He played a duplicate. Alright, that's valid. I think I would have played the Sir Vander, gotten the free gold, taken out his only Knight. Like, you had that information given to you, and not using it might cost you a better Knight, like Dame Natalie. Oh, that's brutal. That is definitely a big mistake. I don't know if it's like a game-ruining mistake or whatever, but that's just I would have definitely done the Knight trade instead, if I saw it at least. It's a lot easier to see things if you're just commentating. So, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Alright, so Kyle's got a big turn coming up. He's still down 22-3, but Trey is, just does not have that many good cards left, thanks to this kind of constant assault. So Kyle may be able to claw himself back up out of here, but he's approaching the point where he's going to want to start throwing Bridge Troll, I think, into there. At least 1 or 2 in order to get multiple gains a turn. Because otherwise he's just... it's going to be really hard for him to catch up. Just on time. If anything, maybe even piles. So his Knight Assault has managed to hit the Chariot Race. It's managed to... which has been a help. Grab the duplicate. He's going to be able to... see, he's got 20 now. Like, he absolutely needs a Bridge Troll. But he's going for Province, which he can't duplicate. Maybe he just doesn't see the plus buy of Bridge Troll. It's it's a little debatable when you want to put it in because you have so many conflicting needs at once, and picking the order of, your build order is like the hardest part of Dominion. I'm still no good at it, but I'm sure by now you want one, right? It looks like he's going to be fine either way, so it's not the biggest thing to stress over. He's got a pretty solid build out, and Trey is really kind of sputtering right now, unfortunately. Going for the chariot races for the free VP. I don't necessarily... There's not a lot else he can do. He can get silver, but he's going to lose both either way. It's kind of a sad game for Trey here. I think it's kind of a battle of attrition. Kyle's just going to eventually be able to overtake it, even one province at a time, even if he never gets a bridge troll. And he's starting to more consistently hit his dens. He's only going to have 3 money this turn, so he's going to end up with a chariot race, but ultimately, like, it's only a matter of time now. You can't afford to ignore knights on a board like this. Alright, so Trey is able to hit 7 here, so this would be a great time for him to pick up a den, a Serbalia, gold. I think he has just enough money to make it work, but he's going for Duchy now, because it is close to the end of the game, I guess. And that would be the right move in a big money situation. My concern here is, first of all, he's just going to lose the Duchy to the Knights anyway. And also, he needs to get the province pile out before Kyle has time to catch up. But at this point, it is looking very bleak for him. So this is probably resignable by Trey if he sees it, but still holding out. It's a league game. You want to keep trying. I totally get that. Can't blame him. I'm never one to resign early. I know it's popular, but I always want to stick it out and see what happens. So Kyle has province in hand here, and it's just a matter of seeing if he can get... he doesn't have a cantrip knight, so he's probably going to just seeing if he could draw another den or something. Servander hits a gold, which is Trey's biggest source of money left. I think he's down to like 1 silver in his starting coppers now, so hitting 8 is not going to happen again without him getting some more money. So here he's going to want to buy a silver, although it's not much use at this point. Well, pretty powerful match by Kyle. That early, didn't get scared too badly by the early province lead Trey had. He knew that just playing the knights and seeing this through would eventually help him win out in the end. And so having that discipline to stick to that is a rare thing to see in the level of play they're at right now. So it bodes well for Kyle in this matchup. Trey went first, right? All right, so yes, Trey went first. So Kyle being able to steal a first win when he didn't even have the start is obviously, it's a huge momentum move in a 6-game league match. At this point, it's all but decided. I think with the contents of his discard pile and chariot, let's see what he pulls on chariot race. So he gets 1 money there, 1 more money. Yeah, he can pull 2 golds and he's done, or a gold and a silver in that one, the money knight Sylvia. Like, just pull the golds and you've won the game. We'll see. They'll figure it out. Or not. Sometimes it's hard to see. Like, sometimes you look so hard for pile outs, you miss the province out. We'll see if he can figure it out. Either way, he's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just a matter of, the amount of time you have to play. Yeah, he's still going for cleaning that shuffle. His is a little bit too what do you call it? Kind of on that track of let's clean my shuffle, let's get all my chariot race points. When that's not really what he should be focusing on. But he got 5 here. I'd probably just buy the other den to like lock up the win as much as you can, but to each their own. 2 dens is fine. Alright, so he's got Dame, Mountain Village, Den, Province. Alright, so he's in basically... Oh, he has plenty of cards in his draw, so let's see what Chariot Race pulls up for him. Hopefully he can get to 8, and we can move on. But at this point, I think at this point, with the amount of cards in Trey's deck, I don't think he can win anymore unless he, you know, Kyle stops playing Knights. You know, he goes wild on Wild Hunt. I don't know. Like it's essentially impossible for Trey to come back now. So, in the meantime, I don't know. I don't have a lot to talk about for a few minutes. Take a break, I guess. If you're thinking about doing the Dominion League, I definitely recommend it. Check out the Discord channel. You can find it by going to the Dominion Strategy forums. There should be invite links on the forums. I think the one on the blog is out of date. We're working on getting that updated. And if you're in the league now, you're interested in getting commentary for your own matches. When you put your match on the calendar, especially if you do it a day in advance or so, you have the option to request commentary. And people like me that are bored and want to watch some Dominion matches might come and volunteer to do it. We'll make a recording for you so you can watch the commentary later and hopefully improve your play or learn things or feel good about yourself, you know, whatever you want out of it. All right, he's got 8 in hand, so this match is over officially now. So, and he sees it immediately, so good game for Kyle and Trey here. 48-26 in the first match. Pretty well played. Not a lot of other spectators so far. Yeah. Pretty much no other spectators, actually. Alright. In the meantime, while Trey's taking a quick break, I don't have a lot else to say, actually. We're just going to chill for a sec. I have to decide, I don't know how much time I'll have when I make this video. I don't know if I'm going to actually edit this kind of thing out or not. I might do kind of an abridged video where I like zoom past things a little bit, but that takes a couple of hours to compile, so I wouldn't count on that. Yeah, meanwhile, Kyle's going to get the next start. He's 1 win in 6. I'm going to grab some water. Oh, here's the match. Alright, so this kingdom is, what do we got? Battlefield as our landmark, which incentivizes the kind of fast play we saw out of Kyle. We got Way of the Sheep as our way, which helps with early game economy a lot. It's a page game, goes to colony, so that means hero gets a lot more powerful, being able to gain platinum straight up. The biggest thing on this board is that there is not a lot of reliable draw. It looks like you're never going to be able to draw your whole deck at once. But the best you can probably do is you can use research to trash golds or platinums and get like kind of an offset, like draw half your deck every turn kind of thing. And that's fine. That's pretty good. So if it were me, I'd probably open either Forager page, Research page, Amulet page. Definitely something page, definitely a trasher. Probably Research page. I guess one thing to consider, your starting cards are shelters, so they're less good with Research, so I might not open Research, but I'd get one later, I think. So Amulet page is probably what I would do then, because Amulet's got that duration effect to trash twice as much. It lets you throw some silvers in later, I guess, but you don't really want to do that on a colony board. And you can process Amulet later into Research. Procession lets you buy Foragers and Harbingers and make them into Researches later, too, which is neat. Otherwise, Procession doesn't do a whole lot here, so it's not, like, mandatory. I guess it's your only village, so if you want to play multiple terminals before you get Champion, that's another thing, but otherwise not a huge factor. Looks like Trey used Way of the Sheep to hit 5. That is something I completely missed, but Way of the Sheep is huge on a shelter board because it lets you open with at least a 5 guaranteed. Being able to get that Jester is huge. Neither of them going for page. I think I would at least try to get hero here for the the platinum gain. Maybe you don't go to champion, but at least go to hero. Opening Jester is very strong though, especially with the limited. It slows the game a bit, and since the only tricky part is if they land if they land Hovel, you get nothing or whatever, and if they land Necropolis, nothing happens either. But otherwise, Jester's pretty good here. So when you hit 5 the second time, what do you do? There's a couple things that are good that cost the same. So Charm, to get Forager, Harbinger, or Forager Silver is something to think about, I guess. Otherwise, if you're not doing Page, I guess either way you're doing a money-ish thing. You want to get to Platinum, you want to get to Colony, and Thinning will help you hit Platinum and Colony more easily. So I think that turn 3 Page is reasonable if you decided not to get it. I'm guessing what happened is Kyle's plan was to open Amulet Page. He saw the Way of the Sheep trick, and then he was very tempted to get Jester. That's very understandable. So Trey has gotten Jester and 2 Foragers, which I do like. I like having that aggressive thinning. And with Jester, being a terminal, you're just, concerns of collision with Amulet. So Forager is a reasonable choice for sure. Now Trey's hitting 5 again, and now he's going to Charm, which is I think also fine. It's strictly better than Silver, basically. Amulet managed to pull into the 5 for Jester here, so Kyle can respond with whatever 5 they want. Going for a second Jester, kind of trying to win the junk war, I suppose. That's fine. Eventually, when you have Champion, especially if the other guy is ignoring Page, you can load up on Jester. Another thing to consider here is if you're in a one-sided Page match, is you do get to consider the Warrior Pin, which would be able to trash all of the 3s and 4s, which is most of the cards that do things on this board, except for money. So I don't know if that's necessarily worth going out of your way for, but I wouldn't. Extra pages don't hurt too badly here, is all I'm saying. All right. In the meantime, Trey has been making his way up to 6, where he's able to get a Horde. Able to buy victory cards early and flood with gold, which is not that bad on a battlefield board. He just has to be careful with how early. You wouldn't want to buy Duchy to get a gold. You'd want to buy maybe Province to get a gold. But because it's a colony board, you are going to need to build more before you green. Now Kyle is facing his own 6 and his own kind of what do I do situation. Horde is okay. Rogue has a trashing attack, a chance to try to swipe some of those charms and hordes from Trey. That is definitely something to consider. The concern I'd have with Kyle is he's got 4 terminals now, and it's going to take him a little bit to get to champion. Harbinger can help him maybe cheat and get 1 cycle sooner, hopefully, but that requires some luck. In this situation for Kyle, doesn't have a lot of great plays. I would definitely play the Amulet, trash your Hovel here, and just call it a day on the turn, I think. Alright. Trey has a chance for a 6 here. Okay. He is doing that Duchy thing, which is more defensible with Hovel. I will give him that. It gives him 5 points and a gold. If it weren't for Hovel, I'd say that's definitely a mistake, but it's at least worth a thought there, and I think that's something to play with. See how it goes for him. And Trey has the early momentum. He doesn't have this big terminal collision problem that's kind of staring Kyle in the face right now. Kyle's opted to trash a Jester, so maybe he's realized he's overcommitting on the terminals for the moment. And now playing Jester or Rogue is basically, do you think he has a good card or a bad card? And yeah, I would take the Forager if I were Kyle. That's a huge blessing. It gives you plus buy, which is the one thing you really need on this board. And it gives you trashing. So huge Jester flip for Kyle here. I would have opted for a second Forager over Silver, or maybe a Harbinger, just because you don't want too many Silvers on a colony board, but, you know, early on it's not the worst either. You know, it's still relatively early in this game, which will take a little bit to progress to the colony level. These are both relatively slow developing boards we've hit. Alright, so Trey is going for a second Jester here. His deck is fat enough that that probably works out. Let's see, so Kyle's hit his own 6, opting to straight up buy a gold, and I think that's probably the right call. Horde is definitely arguable, but it's going to be a while, so he can buy a gold here, get a better chance at hitting platinum that way. They are lighting each other up with the Jesters, which is making it very hard for them to trash, and they're gonna want to both get more Foragers and trashing material, I think. Alright, so he's gonna end up with 3 after this amulet play here. And this is definitely a time to consider a Forager. When you still have 20 plus cards in your deck and it's turn 10 and you have good trashing, that means that the Jester attack is getting really effective, and you really want to deal with that. Wait, how did he hit 6? Oh, he opted out of playing the amulet to play for Way of the Sheep, I suppose. I think it can be challenging to emphasize that gold over trashing, because, you know, especially in a Traveler deck, you really want to be able to cycle quickly. That's the whole idea, to develop fast. So by not doing that. And here, I think he made a big mistake not playing the Forager before Warrior. He had the copper in hand to trash, and that's just leaving a... And with Forager, you get the money back, so it's literally just leaving trashing on the table. So I think Kyle isn't putting enough emphasis on trashing, and he may find himself flooded even before he gets to Champion. I know it'll eventually stop, but you've got to keep yourself clean before then, too. Alright, meanwhile, I think Trey is recognizing this inadequate trashing on the other side, and that's why he's gotten his second Jester. That's why he's doing what he's doing. He's powering up on gold. He'll be able to get to platinum eventually. Didn't Trey already trash his hovel? I swore that happened, right? Yeah, because he bought a duchy and opted to trash his hovel with it, right? Didn't that happen? Was I hallucinating? Oh, he chose not to trash the hovel when he bought the duchy. He just had it in his hand. Huh. Alright. Well, in the future, don't do that, but, you know, it is what it is now. I don't know if I would trash an Necropolis if I were him, but I guess he's not going for consistent draw anyway, so that's not a huge deal. The 2 silvers over the gold, I'm also a little skeptical of, because you want density in order to hit platinum and then hit colony, but maybe he's thinking more short term than that. If you buy provinces with battlefield, that's 8 points compared to 10 with colony, and seeing how long it's going to take Kyle to get up, he might try to go for more of a VP rush. But I maybe spoke too soon, because Kyle got his first platinum now, being able to play rogue and 2 golds. Okay, okay, now I'm confused. I don't know why he trashed his gold. He has the copper still in hand. This is, I get wanting to power up the Forager. There's something to that. Like, that is valid a little bit. I don't think you want to do that at the expense of thinning out your bad cards. And so he's going to run into more and more coppers in his deck, and that's it also makes him more vulnerable to Jester. So on the other side, Kyle has a very crowded deck with, you could count there, that is 13 different treasures and 2 actions in his discard pile, 6 more in his deck, and another 5 in his hand. So that's already a 25 card deck, and he's only got 1 platinum. It's going to be hard for him. So he's got 8 here. This is definitely a time to play Amulet for 1 money, not to, because then you could get a platinum, and you're already so fat. But I guess instead he's finally leaning heavily on Forager. I think maybe that Harbinger play where he could see his whole deck at once kind of opened his eyes to the situation. And that's and so trashing the silver, you know, getting more Foragers, I can agree with that. Meanwhile, on Trey's side, he's continuing to build up his money. If he's going to want to do that province rush thing, he's probably going to want to start buying provinces very soon. But because now he's leaving in a window for Kyle to very slowly claw his way back in. He's got hero out. Now, the thing I would do if I were Kyle here is probably stay at hero. You don't have that many terminals, so going to champion doesn't help too much. But I mean, I guess it's not really a huge mistake either way. Now you can buy a lot of rogues and try to go for an attack flood, kind of like he successfully did last game. But if you stay at hero, you get a platinum per shuffle, and that's kind of nice. I suppose with the opposing rogues, he could lose the hero if he kept it, so going to champion's probably the safer move. Just thinking out loud here as always. Alright, he's got 8 in hand here. Now, is it a province time or is it not province time? I'm kind of unsure. I think Kyle... I think it could be argued either way. A research... I mean, you've heard my argument for research at the beginning. It wasn't what I was thinking at the moment. But I think that's this is a reasonable time to get it if you're going to want to start. Because it'll give him some draw. It'll help him thin, too, because he can trash his silvers with it and get a bit more draw next turn. So that's actually a pretty good play there, I think. Meanwhile, Trey is continuing this assault. Also, the other thing is that when you use research to trash cards like silver and gold, rogue isn't going to work as an attack. I totally didn't notice that factor because I'm very bad at rogue and I just, I don't notice things a lot. But so in a way, they're both kind of neutering the rogue attack, making it less effective. All right. Starting with a silver trash, a little skeptical, but he didn't have the copper in hand, I guess. I probably would have gone 1 money there maybe, but he does recognize the need to thin, so I can't knock that. So here you could either pick up a 5, which I think would be another charm or another research, or you could do the charm effect and get like Forge or Harbinger. That would also be okay. Looks like he's going to go for research. Duration cards you always like to get in pairs if you can, because then you get a more consistent effect out of them. So having a second research would be cool. Other options he could do, he could definitely get another charm. He's got champion, so he could just load up on jesters and just try to go all in on that with a minimal consequence. Oh yeah, why didn't he trash his Necropolis, actually? Yeah, he's about to get champion. Whatever. He got research. Cool. And there's his champion, ready to go. So he has something like 10 in this hand. So we'll be able to get another platinum, too. Yeah, there's 3 different kinds of treasure in the trash right now. Copper, silver, and hoard. Because the gold left due to rogue. So that'll be 10... and like 3 buys there with champion. And I think you just get the platinum then. At that point, he's going to have like 4 platinum in his deck to Trey's, I think, 1. And even though the deck is very fat and a little bit out of control, you should be able to just kind of win a colony money battle at that point. Charm here for, yeah. Definitely, he's looking at platinum. So Trey's got a forager, so he's going to be able to... He's got 10 here too, so he'll be able to respond with his own platinum. And now he's trashing a charm. Oh, I guess it gets him to... Oh, it still gets him to 10. That doesn't... I don't know. Alright, so he's getting a platinum. I think you don't want to prioritize... The problem with powering up forager is that you're helping your opponent, especially when he's got Kyle in this position where Kyle has, about 10 different cards he doesn't want in his deck at any given moment. So giving your opponent free money, just to give yourself the same amount of money that turn is, you have to think carefully about it, is I guess how I would put it. So I wouldn't have played that forager at all. I would have just taken your colony here, but you can trash the forager too, and then you get colony and There's an argument for Duchy to just try to sap the battlefield points, but I think Forager's fine. You can basically undo the Forager play that way. I would have maybe also considered another research, but maybe the game is going to go quickly enough that that's not a thing anymore. I don't know. Alright, so Trey is trashing a gold to finally get that 5 money payload. That is at least profitable in this turn, so that's a lot more defensible. And now that the first colony is off the board, especially in a battlefield game, now I think Trey has to green, especially because he did not hit 9. Yeah, so getting the province is the right move here. Pretty sure. I mean, I don't know that many things, but it's my guess. Alright, so Kyle's got this weird 7. And this is a little tricky, because a 5-point duchy right before a shuffle when you only have 1 colony, I think you do have to do it because of battlefield points are so important, but it is, without Horde, it's unfortunate that you had to. Oh wow, this might be the most points I've ever seen off Forager. Trashing a platinum for a net profit. He would have made more money trashing the silver, but sometimes you have goals when you're playing Dominion that go beyond the scope of winning the game. Sometimes you want to just make the best Forager that you can, and you have to respect that. Never mind, he would have been able to buy a colony if he did not do that, though. So I think focusing less on powering up Forager and focusing more on winning the game would be a good strategic move. But this is cool, I will say. I've never seen a 6-point Forager. That is incredible. Alright, but yeah, Kyle's deck is starting to shape up. It looks like he's got exactly 10 here, which is a little awkward, but he could probably just buy provinces at this point. Especially while Battlefield's out, you do have to buy a province at 10. So this is pretty much... Did he, I think, yeah. Alright, so Trey has 8, so that's a replying, you want to buy the reply province here to clear battlefield out, stay in the game. You have to. You could argue for, like, Duchy Charm or whatever, but no, you got to get the province, in a colony game especially. Trey's only down by 4, so it's still anybody's game, and shuffle luck is going to be a big factor, but Kyle's in just a better position because he has so many more treasure cards, and has, now at this point, I think they're even on foragers, so all of that forager boosting that Trey did is going to help him. And we never did get to the research in time for it to help us draw, so I think at this point, oh, I guess if forager is still worth 6 money, Jesus, oh, it's worth 5 at the moment. Because somebody took their platinum back or something. So, at this point, you want to trash the research, I think. Just be like, whoops, sorry, too little too late. I think if his deck was a bit more under control, he could have done the research draw thing. But because he let it get so bloated, it just wasn't in the cards. But yeah, you do gotta... I mean, you can't decline a colony at this part of the game. Especially because Kyle managed to pull one off, too. Yeah, you gotta do this. And then... yeah. Now you're at colony, and I don't know why I played the forager that way. I would have just trashed the copper, and then you could have gotten, like, another... like a harbinger or something, but whatever. It's not a huge... you know, misstep or anything at all. So here you just play the amulet for +1 money just to get it out there, and then you grab your colony because if you ping pong on colonies you win if you're Kyle right now because the plus buy options Trey has are relatively limited and he maybe will be able to do province duchy in order to try to pays it off, but it's tricky. So yeah, here you just put it out for money, you get your colony. Now it's going to be 2 colonies left with 55 to 41. It's a big deficit for Trey to try to make up. Fortunately, I guess, what do you do here if you're Trey? I'd go with Warrior, hope you draw a platinum, I guess. But you could go with Rogue and gain something. And then you have 4. And on 4, you can't do a lot. I guess just buy a forager. If you're going to make them worth that much, you get, like, throw them in there, you know? Yeah. That's the right move, I guess. And then Kyle can... He can get to... Oh, yeah, he can get to Colony here. He has to use the Amulet for money, Forager the copper, Necropolis is sheep, and then he hits 11. And then that's basically the death knell for Trey on this particular match. All right, two games on the longer side here so far, both over 20 turns. But that's just the way these go sometimes. You never know exactly what you're going to get. Yeah, take the Colony, and this buy doesn't even really matter. It can be an estate or a page. Yeah. So, but luckily Trey does have 2 Forager here, so we'll be able to hit 15 and 3 buys, so we can at least triple Duchy. That's an option, or Province Duchy, I guess is what you'd really do. Province Duchy estate, get 10 more. And then you have a fighting chance at the very least. Yeah, Province Duchy estate. Like, there's 1 colony left, you gotta. And it looks like Kyle can't immediately win the game. Now, Kyle still has a research here. He didn't trash all of them. Now, I would definitely just trash the gold, wait till next turn. You're down 14 points, which is... He would need Colony Province to do that. His deck is not capable of doing that. Like, even if you don't know his hand, you know he's not going to get 19 in 1 turn. So just get a big draw for next turn. Almost guarantee the... yeah, he has it locked up now. He didn't even need to do that, apparently. So, Trey doesn't know he has the loss, basically. But yeah, he's doing it right. He has to get provinces and estates, try to claw back. And the game ended up being pretty close, but it looks like Kyle's going to be able to take game 2 as well. Alright, so 2-0 lead here for Kyle in this match so far in Dominion League F Division, or H Division. Man, I was surprised to learn how many divisions there were in Dominion League. Alright. So next game is going to be Trey first, so they'll have to hit ready again. They're saying Trey is saying GG, Kyle is not. Ooh, that may be a tactical move. I don't know. Nah, I'm just kidding. All right, so let's look at this. Look at this kingdom here. Oh, it looks like it's going to be another long, sloggy game. And Kyle has been persevering in those, so perhaps an advantage to him. For villages, we got Fishing Village, pretty much the best there is. One of them, at least. Crossroads also can be a village. Your draw is kind of limited here. Excuse me. You got Oracle and Vault. Vault is kind of good in these sloggy games because it lets you, basically get gold every turn. Every turn you play it, that's the worst you can do. Oracle at least helps you sift a bit too, in addition to drawing. Trade route and Dismantle are your trashing options. Neither are amazing. Probably open Dismantle. Yeah, okay, so we can get to the rest of the board in a minute. Definitely, in this case, I'd want to open Dismantle Fishing Village, I think. Perhaps you want... The argument other than that is basically, do you want to open 2 silvers and Trade Route, or 2 silvers and Fishing Village instead? Because that gives you much better... Or 2 silvers and Oracle, even. Gives you much better odds of getting Mountain Bank quickly, which is going to be very critical here. That's the best card we didn't get to. Mountain Bank is still considered to be one of the best junking attacks in the game. And that's, 2 cards for the price of 1. Animal Fair and Horse Traders are your kind of plus buy payload, but that's a very far ways off, I think. This game, the first mode of business in this game is junking. Innovation is our project, which is a very interesting thing here. You actually get some situations where you can buy Animal Fair, trash an action from your hand, gain 4 and the plus buy, and end up with more money than you started. So that's a trick to keep in mind. But also, it's nice if you can buy it to get a second, you can buy a second Mountain Bank with Innovation, so it'll probably be a factor. They both opt for horse traders early, or with Kyle opening silver horse traders, a perfectly respectable way to hit 5. While Trey has opened the double silver crossroads fishing village, which is I hadn't considered, but it looks like the crossroads paid off for him as he's able to hit 6 right away, and he goes for gold instead of mountebank, or innovation. I think he's got money on his mind is one way I would put it, you know. But now he's hit 5, so this is a perfect opportunity for him to get mountebank anyway. He did lose one shuffle early on that. Kyle has gotten 2 mountebanks already. I think 2 is fine. The second one doesn't give you that much mileage, and I'd probably rather wait until you have innovation to get it, so you can kind of do a 1-2 punch in a turn. But it's perfectly reasonable to buy that mountebank when he did too. I think it was certainly not going to hurt him too much. Now, turn 5, Kyle's opted for a trade route. With 4 money, I probably would have gotten dismantle over trade route because you can get some golds from your estates, and then later on you can use that to make as a gainer. And it's not like trade route gives you a lot anyway. All right, ooh, interesting. Kyle's bought a mountebank and requested an undo, or bought an oracle. He's going with fishing village, much smarter play, I think. You definitely want to start building a stock of fishing villages when you have all these different fun terminals to splash and a deck that's very hard to draw with, because you're not going to be guaranteed to line up those cards. But putting fishing village shines on boards like this because of how it's a sticky duration. Once you start the turn with extra actions to deal with, helps you smooth out. Before villagers, it was the best you could do here. Mountebank. Managed to react to force traders and discard a curse, so that attack did not really hurt him. Because of his fishing village, he's able to play both horse traders and mountebank here. So Trey is looking in decent shape here. On this 5, he could get his own second mountebank. He could get a fishing village and delve. He could do, his own dismantle he has 7? Did I can't count. Okay, he has 7. So we'd want to think about innovation potentially, so we could, really spike him with that second mountebank later. But delve and a fishing village and a crossroads is what he ends up going with. If crossroads worked on curse, then that would be brilliant. But right now, when your deck is getting fatter and you aren't thinning it too hard yet, crossroads has kind of limited utility because you need victory cards to be in your hand for it to work. And maybe he's got grand plans going on for later on. So when did he get that animal fair? Huh. I must have missed it. Maybe that's what he's doing. He's buying animal fare and crossroads. That's how he's doing it. So he's trying to load up on animal fares. Another big money oriented move. And we'll see how that plays out. I hadn't thought about that at all. Sometimes you just get new ideas when you watch different people play. That's one of the best reasons to spectate a game. Meanwhile, Kyle's continuing the mountebank assault, and now he's got 5. He's got his 2 mountebanks. Getting more would not help him. This is when a vault would be a very interesting play, and that's what he ends up choosing. Hopefully that'll help him get some golds and platinums. The other thing I would have considered is just getting fishing village and I guess crossroads to feed to animal fare later, not because you really want either of those cards, but just to round out the buys, I guess. But yeah, he's gonna want some. I think innovation. This is if you're gonna get it now is an excellent time, because as you get those fishing villages that he's gonna realize he needs, you can play them immediately with innovation, so you get them for next turn. But it looks like they're both ignoring innovation. Trey has managed to spike to platinum, and is holding his own in the mountebank race, because again, like, you don't necessarily need to match. Once you both have 1, it's all bets are off, kind of. I'm curious if Trey's lack of trashing is going to hurt him, because Kyle at least has 2 different trashing cards. Unfortunately, he dead drew them, or played them dead. So now he's in a position where he's got 8 and only 1 buy, which is 1 short of what he would have liked. Goes for an animal fare, which I don't love that here. I think a gold would have been safer for him. It would have been less terminal action. But I suppose long term, it is your reliable source of plus buy that isn't horse traders, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Maybe the extra money will really help him. Meanwhile, Trey is now piling on the platinums, taking advantage of his momentum over Kyle. I think Trey, Kyle was really leading the first 2 games, but at this point he's starting to dig himself a bit of a hole that I don't necessarily know he's going to build himself out of, because he's not making necessarily the. All right, well, he's getting a fishing village, so he's starting to put together what he needs in order to dig out of this. But he's got a. If you really want to build something kind of resembling an engine here, you have a lot of components to buy, so it's going to be a challenge. Trey's kind of like money-ish attack strategy is and taking advantage of early momentum could really help him here. On this 8, it's hard to know what to do. I don't think you. Okay, he does go with innovation. All right, so we'll see how innovation plays on this board. I'm glad that it eventually got bought, because the more I look at this board, the more it looks like an opportunity for innovation. You can do on-buy trashing, you can do on-buy fishing village, you can do, an extra punch with mountebank, you can do the animal fair trick. Like right here, one thing you could do, I guess you don't get extra buys from it yet, but if you did, you could buy animal fair with 0, but unfortunately that's not how it's going to work yet. Another crossroads. Yeah, perhaps he's waiting for the curse pile to empty and is going to try to all out the animal fairs here. So, okay, so the crossroads does let him play both animal fairs. So he has a huge amount of money here. In this case, buying a colony is great. I think a good move would have been to buy a trade route and then use the extra buy to get a colony, but, I guess he wants to keep the estates for crossroads. So, yeah. In any case, like, minor quibbles, minor nitpicking. Trey has got a huge momentum swing. He's got, like, 3 platinums to Kyle's 1. He's got a colony already. The only thing Trey could really, I think, would help push him over the top is if he could get, like, a vault here. That would help him have some draw in order to get his colonies, platinums in hand more easily. He could play the vault here. Oh, no, he only has 1 buy, so it wouldn't help him that much. Yeah, this is definitely a case where I would have bought a trade route to get that curse out, because, like, curses don't help you at all. So I'm not sure if innovation opens a lot of options that aren't in normal Dominion that you don't come to mind very easily. So it's very hard to get into the mindset of thinking, like, what on-buy things do I want to do? So it's easy to miss stuff like that. All right, so dismantle. Trashes a copper, gets nothing. Yeah, Kyle is in a tough spot. He isn't able to. Trey is just capitalizing on his momentum, which is what he was trying to do in the first game. That did not work out for him, but with the way attacks are going here and the way mountebank kind of stalls, there's just not. All right, so he's played a vault. But he doesn't have any buys anyway, so unfortunately it doesn't really help him. But he's got a vault, though. The important thing is he has an important draw card that he definitely could use. So that's good for Trey. He's really picking us up on this. He's turning it around a bit. Meanwhile, Kyle is in a bit of a tough spot because he's got a lot of junk. He's got the cards he needs to deal with the junk, but he has a lot of components he needs to get really quickly. I think if he had innovation, he could probably use that momentum a bit better, but he doesn't. So, like, if he had innovation, an interesting play this turn would be to fishing village, play the silver copper, buy a second dismantle, which will help him thin a bit more, and then also get another gain off the gold. But unfortunately, he can't really do that unless he has innovation. I'll be back in about 1 minute. I have to take a quick personal break. As far as the game's going, I think you can figure it out for a moment. I'm back in 1 second. So, sorry about that. Sometimes I have to step out. So meanwhile, what happened is Trey built a huge lead while I wasn't looking, and now he's up 4 colonies to 0, so Kyle is clearly in some hot water. But it looks like he's managed to get some components, just scrolling through the log here, to try to catch up, but I think it might be a little bit too late. Kyle's got to buy colonies aggressively, ignore the, PPR rule, like, buy the second to last one and kind of hope for the best. Trey, let's see what he can do here. I would play the vault. It looks like he could get a province here, kind of keep driving that wedge in. There's no piles out, so he can't do any cute animal fair tricks yet. Yeah, in this case, you gotta just buy the province, I think. Oh, he's going for the platinum just to keep beefing it up. I mean, he has a better idea of what's in his deck than I do now, because I stepped out for like 4 turns. Looks like he's got guaranteed 10 here, minimum. Oh, he's got 11 already. Yeah, whatever. You can play that mana bank, try to get another one in. Take another colony, and that really kind of seals it for Kyle, it's been sealed for a while, let's be honest, but, Weird dud turn for Trey here. I mean, that's inevitable with decks this big. But, he's been playing pretty well, I think. At least, in Dominion, you just have to play better than your opponent. That's kind of the thing. Alright, where's my mute button? Sorry, I have to open up a package. Alright, so meanwhile, there's not a lot else to say in this particular game. It's basically just waiting for Trey to get ready. Kyle's managed to pull some points back, but I do not think he'll be able to get 25. Certainly not in 0 turns. Alright. Well played. Kyle, I'm glad this game is over. You guys have had some long games. I do understand that. That is an important part of Dominion League play that I think isn't talked about enough, which is the fatigue factor. 6 matches in a row is a lot of time, and it's a lot of mental energy. And just as big of a part of Dominion play isn't just how good you are at Dominion in the league. It's also, like, how able are you to sustain your quality of play over time. So having these 3 long games is going to test both of them. Alright, this kingdom, they're getting off to a very fast start, so we have to analyze it very quickly. There's Peasant, there's Silk Merchant, there's City, there's Seer. Those are big key cards. You got Trade Routes, so you can thin. Distant Lands is alternate payload. You have Traveling Fair for plus buys if you didn't have enough already. Way of the Mule makes buying over terminaling a lot safer. And you have Bank as a potential payload card to give you lots of money. So this is a very explosive looking board. So I'll, hide the kingdom so we have time to look at what they're doing. Kyle's opened Peasant City, thanks to using Way of the Mule of Necropolis. Meanwhile, Trey has opened Silver, and we'll see what he gets. I think Peasant is definitely key here. Whenever you see Peasant and Silk Merchant, you need to watch out, because that alone, on basically any board, you just basically attack the Silk Merchant pile. You get a lot of economy. You get villagers to smooth it out. You get to Teacher. You put plus action on that, and you're done. Doesn't even really matter what the rest of the board is. That's usually the right play. I don't know if they're going to see that, though. Seer is another great card here. There's so many power cards in the 2 to 4 range with Peasant, Silk Merchant, even Trade Route. So Seer getting that non-terminal draw early, looking at the top of your deck, pretty good. This is one of those cool boards where you can kind of just buy the cards you want to and figure it out. At very high levels of play, you'd have to overthink and be very precise about what order you buy everything. But here, it's just, you know, make sure you get to trade route, make sure you get to peasant, make sure you get some silk merchants, and you just kind of, or seers, or both, and you just kind of run, see what you can get off. It looks like there's only one person doing peasant, though, which is Kyle. And if that's the case, Kyle is going to win. So we'll see if Trey gets a late peasant, maybe using Traveling Fair to get that first cycle sooner. But otherwise, it's going to be hard to just win this one out on money, I think. Distant Lands is the big reason for that. Even if it was a board that was like very favorable to money where you could rush provinces, Distant Lands means that Kyle doesn't have to touch the province pile at all. And that means forces Trey to get 8 of them. He bought a patrician on 3. I think I would have bought another peasant. I always like to play with at least 2, so you can get that disciple to stick around, but he could be concerned about over-terminaling a little. So now he's in a spot where yeah, he's going to hit 5 here. He doesn't really need 5 yet. He could get city, I suppose, which you could put plus card on. I guess you want to keep the villager too, so you can dead draw, you know, a traveler with silk merchant. The alternative would be trash with trade route and then buy another villager or silk merchant. Huh. Okay, that was a mistake, I think, because did he use a villager? I must have miscounted. He probably had another action. Okay. I'm not always the best counter. Alright, so Trey's using Seer to his advantage there to be able to pull the trade route out and get an earlier trash before the shuffle. And he's able to start his peasant now. But he's going to run into the problem that a lot of people do when they don't open peasant, which is that it takes too long. Kyle's already at Fugitive and has a lot of great cycling cards, many cities and silk merchants. Whereas Trey has fewer cycling cards, and it's going to take longer to build up with Peasant. It looks like Kyle is going to go for plus card on city as probably his first target, which is also valid. The silk merchant thing is a little bit trickier, a little higher payoff, but like, you know, plus card on city is also fine. You know, so. Okay. So he's definitely piling on cities, seeing, because you do get that chance of that +3 cards. And then from there, what he can do, he already has 2 buys minimum with Silk Merchant. He'll probably get a few more when he buys a few more. But you can start loading up on bank there, and then you can get some really big payload. Trey is going relatively aggressive with his kind of money-ish strategy as he has been playing the entire round. Going with an early province buy there. Seeing if he can kind of, I guess the move there is to see if you can sneak out the province pile before Kyle can get too big, or scare Kyle into going for provinces and abandoning his build. Shoot. I thought my mute button was on. Sorry. If you heard some M&Ms or whatever, I apologize. I'll stop eating them for now. They're very good, though. Anyway, back to Trey. Trey's managed to get a seer, 2 cities. He's got a soldier. And he has been consistently trashing with trade route. That is a big thing. I think Kyle has one. I don't know. He's been neglecting to play it more. So Kyle is a little weaker on trashing. I guess eventually his draw will pay off, whereas it's going to take a lot longer for Trey. So Kyle probably won't feel too much of the burn, but in a more competitive match where like Peasant was equally contested from the beginning, that lack of trashing could have really hurt Kyle. In this case, he's probably fine. Trey is doubling down on the money. Now, the thing I would have considered if you really wanted to go money on a seer board is loading up on seers and then loading up on silvers, which counterintuitively, but on a seer board, you generally prefer silver to gold because you can draw silvers for free, but you can't draw golds for free. Kyle has played the Sidian Disciple. No, well, oh yeah, I guess you might as well get free money out of it, grab a Silk Merchant. Unfortunate that he doesn't get the Disciple effect, but it is what it is. That's why I think if he had a second Peasant here, he'd be, you know, one cycle away from Disciple, and that would be better. All right. Meanwhile, see, you can start to see the city stack start to work. Like I mean, he doesn't have the draw, he doesn't have the teacher yet. It's going to be next turn for him. But he does get to 6 here. At this point, you know, if he's in on his strategy, I guess he has the coin token. He could think about getting City Peasant. I'd probably consider that here. But if you want to hold on to the coin token, you could just do City. Going with more patricians. Maybe he'll put plus coin on patrician, because half of them become like grand markets, and he will be able to draw cities with patrician. So it's not like it's a terrible card or anything. It's just you know, that extra disciple would be big help for him, especially with being able to disciple distant lands is a huge thing, and that's what what he might have to do to catch up. It's not clear yet. So he did land the teacher. And he has so many villagers that, you know, not a big deal. I would definitely use a villager to play trader on an overgrown estate right now. But I guess using it on draw first when you have 3 is fine. Because now he can play the city. He'll still have a villager left, and he can use trader on an overgrown estate. And the idea with putting card on city is you're never going to have to use your villagers again. So that's not the order I would have done it, but, you know, maybe he's planning to not play the city. Yeah, because now he just has a burned action that, you know, he basically traded a villager to have an extra action he's going to get rid of. So it's a little bit of a, you know, boo-boo kind of thing, but not a big, you know, showstopper. There's 1 city left, so he's going to be able to put plus card on city here, and then it'll have even another extra card on it next turn. So, or you could just leave it as it is and then keep the advantage. Either way, really. And so he's set on draw. So definitely the next thing in his sights should be a bank. Or 2, or 3, or 4. As many banks as he can manage, because then he can get that super explosive payload. Meanwhile, on Trey's side, luckily he has 8 in hand if he trashes the neck. Oh no, he just does that. That's fine too. You can trash the copper if you want. Grab your 8. And he'll be up 3 provinces. So if Kyle isn't aware of the effect Distant Lands has on this game, it'll be harder for him to catch up. Hopefully Kyle doesn't get too scared and stays on course and knows how bank will work for him here. But if that doesn't happen, then maybe Trey's gambit of playing money early is actually looking stronger. Alright, so he's calling teacher, thinking about his move. I kind of assumed he knew what he was going to put on his tokens, but it looks like he's taking a minute to think about it. I think even though City's going to have an extra card soon, alright, he's gone with the plus action on Silk Merchant, which is very good. I mean, I've certainly called that out. I just thought, I could have sworn, if he was, with the amount he was investing in cities, I was assuming that he was planning on using them for draw. But it's fine. I mean, he certainly can just buy Silk Merchants now, put a different token on cities, maybe plus coin, and, you know, that's cool. But I figured he'd put, yeah, well, he'll figure it out. I mean, basically, you put the tokens on something, and then you're fine. Like, it doesn't exactly, it kind of doesn't matter. The point is just to get tokens out there. The exact configuration of them isn't super important. Alright, so He's going for 8 here because he wants... Oh no. This is, buying the province there is a big issue. I think you would have wanted to buy banks, silk merchants, but I guess if he's, I don't think he sees the distant lands thing. I don't think he sees the bank. But what Kyle could have done, so Trey's, I'm not talking too much about Trey's strategy that much because it's pretty simple money stuff now. There's not too much to analyze about it. He's just trying to buy provinces. But it's more interesting is what Kyle could have done, I think. Because if you're able to either build up payload using bank or even just regular treasures, you know, you let him get down to 4 provinces left. You let him buy a 4th province, whatever. Then you're in a position where you're buying 2 or 3 distant lands a turn and playing them because you have such a flood of actions and draw. So then you're getting 12 VP a turn, potentially, putting it on your mat, so it doesn't even count against you yet. You can drain that second pile. You have level 2 cities at that point, and then you can attack duchies, or even what's left of the provinces, and you'll end up on top. Alright, now that he's gotten the last city, and Trey, unfortunately, hits 7 here. I think he is right to be buying gold over duchy here. I think because ultimately he's just trying to rush. The problem is the peasant doesn't work in with his strategy of money, really, because he hasn't been buying enough action cards for the teacher to matter to him. But I mean, ultimately, I think buying the peasant's the right call, but also not playing that strategy. But you know, we'll see. Going with coin on city, like we theorized before, and he should have plenty of draw at this point. He should get everything. And with all of that extra money, he should be able to get... He could just get 2 provinces, I think, and then he'd end up 18-18 tied going in the last few turns, which is enough for him to squeak the win out, definitely. You can trade route Necro here, just get rid of a card. Or you could... Oh, you have 15, so you probably want to mule them, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Trade route, you'd be at 16 even if you trashed a copper. So it's up to him. If he's not going to do bank, you know, he might as well, I guess. But yeah, he can get two provinces safely here. Yeah. And yeah, that has worked out. Yeah, he did have a nice hand, but also the draw really carries you. So now it's 18-18. Suddenly Trey has his back against the wall because, as the engine often does, it catches up in the end. Didn't even have to do any of the fancy stuff with bank and distant lands, which is I guess sometimes I get ahead of myself and I assume money's going to go faster than it does. You know, I like to think of the crazy stuff. Maybe that's why I'm not that good at Dominion. But Kyle's definitely got this at this point. 18-18 tie. If he can just match that output from before, he has the win. Yeah. He realized he should have played... I think he paused because he realized he should have muled Silk Merchant, but it's fine. He has 16 here. Game's over. Kyle's got it. Pretty nice demonstration of why fighting for the engine is usually the right call in a Dominion game, especially in modern Dominion. Big money is kind of a relic of the past. Unfortunately, a lot of the documentation available on Dominion online is... on Dominion on the internet is kind of from the past when we were more eager about writing about it. There have been many attempts to try to get, you know, article writing and other documentation created, but ultimately people are more interested in playing than writing, and it's hard to argue with that. Now we got Kyle and Trey going for, I think this is game 5. Currently Kyle has a 3-1 lead. So with 2 more to go, we will see how it plays out. This kingdom, let's take a look at that. Got capitalism and innovation for projects. We've already talked about innovation. Capitalism is very interesting because it turns actions into treasures, which makes them more versatile. And you have 2 that you'd really want to do that with here. Both Improve and Coven, I don't know, fuck it, are cards that capitalism directly benefits, obviously. And does City get benefited by capitalism? I think so. Yes, and Storeroom too. Oh, okay, so there's a lot. You can do your drawing and you're playing And you can do basically your entire deck in your buy phase, if you work it out right. And you manage to draw piles. So what do you want to do here? Well, attacking, junking, drawing, 3 keystones of Dominion, and there are a lot of ways to do that here. Ghost ship attack is going to be very important, especially combined with junk. It gets very brutal. And because of the threat of both of those things, you're going to want early trashing right away. So what do? So you probably open Silver or Silver Improve. Silver Mountain Village is what they both chose to, and that's also fine. You'll use that Mountain Village anyway, so it's okay. Turn 3, Kyle got a silver. Turn 3, Trey opened with Coven, and probably because he knew his Mountain Village was coming up, and he was able to get that turn 4 play of it, which is very powerful. I think Upgrade is probably what I'd want to start with, because you want to start with trashing generally in these situations, but Coven is definitely arguable, I suppose, because curse splits are always a race. Now, this has been going really fast. They've both bought into Coven a lot, and no trashing yet. Now, the Coven's unique way of saving the curses for later gives you less of a sense of urgency about trashing, but if you're not prepared with 2 or 3 upgrades ready to go as soon as the curse dump happens, you're going to be struggling for several turns, especially with Ghost Ship. So in this case, for both of them, once you have a matching number of Covens, I would start piling on upgrades until the curses are about to go out, and then pivot over to Ghost Ship and City. 1 Ghost Ship to do the attack, and then City for the rest of your draw. But this is a very dynamic board, a very much like what is your opponent doing, how do you counter it kind of board. So you have to be careful here. This 4 is tricky for Kyle. Overlord, very, I don't know why I hadn't talked about it sooner. That's an excellent card here, because why choose between Covenant Upgrade and Ghost Ship and City when you could just have all of them at once, So, especially on that 4, excellent play on Kyle's part. Meanwhile, Trey is going for gold, which I think you never want to buy here, because Coven is always better until the curses run out. And then it's about the same, especially with capitalism. I think you would rather get some draw working. But in the style of play that Trey plays, with a very, splash in some actions and play big money, it definitely fits with his theme. Now, so I'm expecting Trey is going to think about it, and he's going for his own Overlord here. He has 8 clean, so it's a thought, definitely, and I think that's a pretty good thought, too. Overlord lets you put off the question of how to build your deck, which is always good. Mountain Village, as long as you have the discipline to make the right choices when the chips are down. Like here, Overlord should be played as a Coven, but is instead going with Ghost Ship. I guess he has 2 actions, so it's worth a shot, but the reason I'd want to play it with Coven is because there's only 2 curses left, and you're behind on the curse split, so it would be your chance to fight back and hopefully not lose it as badly. But now he's going to be at least 2 curses down, guaranteed. So we will see how this works out. The one thing I would have done differently if I were Trey is I would have put the 2 coppers back, kept the estate, so you can get a 5 instead of a 6, but since Trey values gold over cards that are 5s, it makes sense within his system. Kyle plays Last Coven, and now the curses are gone. No cities are gone, but cities are now a viable draw card. So this is definitely the time to buy cities. I think maybe Upgrade. Upgrade is arguable, though he does have an Overlord. So getting the Upgrade is fine too. Also an option with 6 would be to just get a second Overlord, because then it could be either. But, he'll get there. And now Trey is moving on to City with his 5s, which I fully support now that cities are level 2. But even though Trey has fewer curses, just 4, I think Upgrade is going to really need to be part of his game plan here to deal with the curses, to make the estates into silvers, which will make his big money strategy better anyway. Meanwhile, Kyle using Upgrade on estate here would have been cool, but he's instead opting for Ghost Ship, which is definitely tempting. He's top deck 2 coppers. Huh. So what's Trey doing with that? it's interesting here. So Mountain Village can only draw curses, so I'm really not sure what the maybe he just forgot. That's how it works. It's hard to remember those mechanics sometimes. Trey's got 6 in hand here. He now knows very clearly all of the things he has to deal with, and now he's going for city over gold, which is, I think, correct. Just kind of an about-face turn from Trey that I wasn't expecting. Kyle, they're both in a spot where they have decks that are going to sputter for a while because of Coven, and it's going to take them a while to recover. If I were Kyle, I think the argument would have been, instead of city, maybe take the gold and buy another so you don't make upgrade and Overlord miss the shuffle. But it is what it is. So now you can use Overlord as another upgrade, get that estate and make it into like an improve or something. Probably a storeroom actually here would be good, because you can buy capitals and make it non-terminal later or whatever. But he is pretty dedicated to playing Ghost Ship as an attack, which is fair. It's a brutal attack. And it is actually significantly hurting Trey. So being able to get that every turn is not to be totally understated, especially once the curses are in the deck. And with no trashing on Trey's part, it'll be a challenge. I'll be back in 1 minute once more. Alright, so while I was out again, sorry about all these interruptions. Didn't anticipate them, but some stuff happened. Let's go over that. It's been about 2 turns each. Kyle's been going for cities. Trey's been going for cards as well. It's interesting, because this is Trey's strongest pivot to an engine that we have seen in quite a while. Why is the edge of my screen, like, yellow? I'm confused. Hold up. There is a yellow border on the screen? Huh. Alright, I'm going to figure that out quietly in the background and not distract too much from the game. Oh, it's just, that's just the border saying OBS is capturing the screen, pardon me. I'm not always the smartest. Okay, so back to the game that I'm supposed to be commentating. Sorry, I'm a little distractible today. So what's interesting is Trey has been playing money all day, but he's been doing this hard pivot to engine now, getting cities, mountain villages, and it seems like it's just not a space he's as comfortable in as Kyle. And now that we've got level 2 cities, all bets are off, because it's only 5 gains to end the game with mountain village. Granted, Kyle is in a deep hole right now with six curses left to trash. Not enough upgrading, but the ghost ships that he's been consistently playing on Trey has really stopped Trey from getting anything going either. So we're kind of at a little bit of a stale here. And I think Kyle has the edge. It's just much like all of the games today. It's just going to take a little while for them to work it out. Because we've had a lot of sloggy, attack-filled games between these two lately. It's been a very brutal set, you know. And you have to think about, when you're in a league match, how having to play now 5 straight games that are all very tough. I guess one of them was kind of a fast engine game, but very tough builds. And despite the junk, Kyle is able to produce 18 money. That is what level 2 cities will do for you. Able to get a points lead. And 18 money is just barely below the 20 that he needs to end the game with Mountain Village buys. So that is something hopefully Kyle sees and needs to watch over for. I guess you can also, with 16 money, you could pile estates. Did he have enough buys for that? I'm going to count really quick, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was just short on buys for that. That is a good observation that Jerry just made in the chat, is that Trey has not played Coven yet to put the curses in Kyle's deck. No wonder that this big curse disadvantage isn't hurting him too much. I just missed it because that was when I was over in the bathroom. So I assumed it had already happened. That is definitely a very interesting observation, Jerry. I appreciate that. And that would really put the nail in the coffin with Kyle. And, like, that is entirely what's allowed him to come back, is not having to deal with 6 extra junk cards. Now, now with only 4 mountain villages, he definitely has enough gains and enough money to do a pile out here. So, very weird. I hope if Trey gets the chance to review this, that's definitely a number 1 takeaway to here, is figure out the mechanics of cards like Coven, I can't pronounce things, so that you don't get yourself in this situation again. Trey's trying to catch up by buying some provinces and duchies, but it's going to be a little bit too little too late. And now we're in a situation where maybe Trey is interpreting discard on Coven to mean, like, trash. That's the only thing I can think of. It's just a misunderstanding. Unfortunately, we just had another situation where Kyle missed a pile out. So, because I think he had... Oh no, he only had 2 buys there. Well. So there's only 2 provinces left. We're going to get a pile out either way. And it does not look like Trey has much chance here. So we'll let this play out for a second, and then come back for the last match. Yeah, I don't have too much to add for this part here. He's trying to get to 16. I guess one thing that's important to consider with Overlord in these situations, if you're not already familiar, is once the cards are out of the supply, you can't play them anymore. So before, he would use Overlords as cities occasionally, and now these Overlords are less useful to him. He can still play them as ghost ships to get draw, he can even play them as mountain villages for actions, but to get plus buy out of them, he needs to play them as storeroom or snowy village, which would be bad here. Don't play snowy village. And so I think what he should do, he should definitely be playing this as a storeroom, because then he'd have 4 buys. Oh, he's already got 4 buys. Okay. And I think he has enough money now. So I guess, yeah, he can just buy 2 provinces, or he can buy 4 mountain villages. He can do whatever he wants. And that's the end of the game. Alright, so the match 6 is coming up. Currently 4-1 we lead for Kyle. And if I had to provide my analysis on that, it's simply because Kyle is much more willing to build the engine than Trey is on any particular board. Trey has a particular mode they like to play, which is to explore the board a little bit, dip into the actions that seem powerful, and then go very aggro for money and green early and aggressively. And that'll work sometimes. It'll work certainly against the lower half of the ladder, and it'll work against the CPU. Where it starts to fall apart are in these games where the engine has such a big payoff that you can't afford to do that, which is a lot of Dominion games. Let's look at game 6 here. Our kingdoms got Advance, Way of the Mole. Okay. Way of the Mole is a little weak, but whatever. Villages, we got Port, which is a very strong village. We don't have Draw. I guess I should start off with that. The only draw, air quotes, we have is Way of the Mole. And because it only gets 3 cards, and especially because there's very little thinning here, you just can't make a sustainable deck out of that. So this is a potential advantage for Trey, who's much more inclined to play these boards. Big things to consider. Pirate Ship's not a factor. Hermit is your trashing, so you'll probably use that and maybe get a few madmen out of that. I guess Vampire and Bat are also trashing, so you can get a little thin. And you have Swamp Hag for like and Death Card for like virtual money. So there is sort of a mole deck you could try to build, but I think instead you kind of want to play like a Vampire, Swamp Hag, money-ish deck, maybe remodel, in order to make some 5s into 7s, some golds into provinces, or, you know, estates into 4s kind of thing. It's definitely another nasty board. They have had the worst luck with these kind of slog boards, I guess. I think you do, if remodel good is the open or not. I think, I guess it's a shelter board, so you're gonna get 3s off of them. I think as an open, it's really no better than Hermit, because Hermit gains you a 3 and it trashes the same kinds of cards, but it gets a bit more versatile. So I would probably open like Silver Hermit. I don't think you want to open Port, and Pirate Ship isn't very good ever. And Death Cart with Necropolis, there's a little bit of an argument for Death Cart, but filling your deck with junk is never good, so I probably wouldn't. And you don't need to spike that badly here. You do want 5 kind of soon, but not that desperately, I guess. So yeah, Silver Hermit would be what I'd recommend. So far, Kyle's opening Port Silver. Opening Port is very rarely the right move, just because Port doesn't do a lot for you. It's only in games where the village pile is like absolutely essential, like game deciding, that you need to open Port. And that is not what's going on here. But they both open Port. Because of the extra money from Guardian, from Trey's buy, he's able to do that. Guardian Tracker Silver, if you have the pouch line up that way, actually isn't too bad here at all, because you don't have that many terminals you're playing. You know, you miss out on the trashing from Hermit's the only downside, but Trey is able to get a turn 3 Swamp Hag into his hand, which is huge. It really stunts the early momentum of Kyle and is going to force him to, you know, lean more into Hermit to trash. But neither of them are going for Hermit. I guess he got a Vampire? Where did the Vampire come from? Sometimes the cards fly around fast. Okay, Kyle got a turn 3 Vampire very quickly that I just didn't see. And I do think you want Vampire before Swamp Hag, because you can gain the Swamp Hag with Vampire. I mean, that's the easy explanation. And also, you benefit from the trashing right away. But ultimately, you know, you want both in your deck. So here, yeah, this is definitely a time for Kyle to gain a Swamp Hag. I think I would have skipped the silver buy that Kyle did. If you're going to buy anything, it's got to be a Hermit, which helps you deal with the curse you just gained. But on just 3 money like that, I, you know, would have considered, especially because you already have your Vampire, like, I probably wouldn't have done that. Um, they've been playing kind of fast. I looked away for a split second to see what was going on out the window, and suddenly Trey has a gold. Trey is definitely playing to his normal style of go aggro, get a couple good cards, go big money, go provinces. I'm guessing he's not familiar with how bat works and how the thinning can really help you. Like, he's always been kind of averse to trashing, so that's actually pretty consistent. Meanwhile, Kyle bought a gold on 6. I don't like that at all, really. I think you want another vampire or another swamp hag, which is like virtual gold, before you get a real gold here. But I guess it's not a huge mistake or anything. It's not like a game ruiner or anything. Yeah, the only things to... Yeah, it's really... Vampire gains are like a consequence, but it's really getting the bats, getting more bats, and having 2 vampire to alternate between vampire and bat is very nice. Late game, the duchies help too. But, yeah, so here he's not going to buy anything, hopefully. He could have advanced his Necropolis into a Swamp Hag or something. That would have been kind of neato, but not a big deal either way, I guess. So they each have a Swamp Hag. Trey's going for money, and Kyle's going for thinning, and then probably the same thing. So it's kind of going to come down to shuffle luck and mid-game decisions. It's going to decide this one. So far, I like Kyle's a little bit better, but it's not enough to, lock the game up. And Trey has managed to get an early province with his more aggressive strategy, so maybe there's something to that. Now, Kyle's got only 3. He's, and the Hermit play, it should have been a few turns earlier, but it's still a good buy here. He's got 2 cards he can trash with it. Hovel and Overgrown Estate, and then later Curses. And while he does have Bat to help a little bit, that lets him focus the Bat on coppers. And he can thin with Hermit, gain some silvers out of that, and gain Hermits and then get Madman, which will help him a little bit with cleaning up too. Make sure that Bat can connect to things if you play Madman. But really, yeah. And then at that point, just try to build up your money a little bit. Try to hit 8 every turn. So he's got a solid 6 here. This is a place where, I guess gold's okay. I just, I never like having just one, of a duration card. Maybe it's just a mental hang-up, but, having 2 Swamp Hag to alternate between would really pin down Trey and force him to take more curses than he can deal with. And right now, he did eventually get a vampire, it looks like. Did I miss that buy? Jeez, this game is fast. But yeah, and you're not necessarily gonna line them up so you can play them every turn, but playing them more often, Oh yeah, Guardian, that is a good thought. See, I've got to work on my observation a little bit, but the Guardians Trey does get in the way of a Swamp Hag strategy. So take back what I said about gold. Totally fine in the context of Guardian being on this board. Everybody has blind spots, including me. Especially me. That's why I'm stuck at my level in Dominion and not at the top or anything close. So Kyle is able to get a curse trash with Hermit, is gaining a tracker, which indicates that he's not going to lose his Hermit this turn. He's going to buy something. So if I were him, I guess I'd buy a silver here, because you don't want to lose your Hermit. Guardian is fine too. I guess he's seeing what the Guardians are doing for Trey, seeing Trey's 10-0 lead. And I guess in the context of realizing that the Trey's Guardians are in the way, I guess Vampire is a lot less strong than it looks. You probably still gain another Swamp Hag here, because even duration terminal gold isn't terrible. And maybe it'll hit once, And what else are you going to do? Maybe remodel, but there's not a lot of good remodel targets either. So yeah, you get your Swamp Hag. You have 2 now, so you don't need any more. And now you can use the golds you bought wisely and the 2 Swamp Hags you got off Vampire. Yeah, I feel better about what Kyle's doing now. But Trey is, he's in an okay spot. He's bought his own Hermit now to do the same kind of thinning junk, which is, good for him. Now Kyle is is able to get to 8 finally, thanks to his gold buys and the Guardian little boost. He's got his own 3rd Guardian, I want to say, to try to stave off Swamp Hag for next turn too, in case a second one comes out. But Trey only has 1, so I don't really get that Guardian gain because it's not protecting anything. But I mean, I guess you do want more Guardians in the deck, and he had a free gain to decide what to do with, so that's fine. You got 2 ports of Tracker here. This would be a phenomenal time to get the Fire's Gift, but Swamp's Gift is very good here too, actually. You have... That Swamp Hag isn't going to count as an attack, but I mean, obviously you still play it just to put money on the table. And then you have 3 money. Yeah, these sloggy games are... must be really draining on the competitors. It's draining on me just to watch them. So here, I think you just get a silver, and you kind of got to play your money thing. Maybe another Hermit if you really want. He's undoing playing the Swamp Hag. Oh, he's using it as a mull. Alright, that's worth a shot. Yeah, he didn't have anything in his hand. Oh, and that actually ends up getting him a province. Good move on his part. Maybe I spoke too soon about the effect of mull being bad. So, hey, good on him. Alright, so now you're in a spot where you can do... It looks like Trey is not going to have a Guardian out, and so this double Swamp Hag opportunity is huge, because you get a guaranteed province next turn, you get a bat to trash your copper, and let's be real, your Necropolis too. And then you get to, or you're not going to trash your Necropolis, you need to use it, but you get to trash your bat, so you get a Vampire back. You get to do nothing this turn, you get a guaranteed province next turn. You hopefully put 2 curses in his deck next turn, or stop him from buying, either of which is good. And then it's going to be like 16-12, your favor. So that's, or not your favor. Yeah, 16-12, that is a chance to catch up. Otherwise, Trey is, really starting to pull away a little bit here. As much as you can really pull away in a sloggy game that's basically determined entirely by shuffle luck or whatever. The Guardian is out, but it won't protect here. Yeah, I think that's definitely something he could have done. Advance the Tracker into Remodel, I guess? You don't want another Swamp Hag right now, I don't think. And Tracker isn't amazing, so... But he did manage to, he got a Duchy off Vampire. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So pad your lead a little bit, make it harder to catch up. Yeah, the issue really with Trey's deck is that he's just, I mean, it's the issue with a lot of these decks. There's just not, when Trey greens this aggressively, particularly in a game of attacks, and a game where you can't draw, you sputter very quickly. And, it's the same problem he had in round 1, where he got an early lead because, he hit 8, and hitting 8 feels good. But now you don't really have the ability to sustain anything because you've puttered your deck out. Kyle has a bit more build discipline once again, and now he's basically tied it up with 2 provinces left to go. Trey's holding on to a very thin lead, so if he was able to spike 8 here, it'd be something, but he's only going to be able to hit 5. Be able to pad it by 4 points, which is enough that I guess Kyle needs to hit his Vampire? If Kyle can hit his Vampire, get 2 Duchies, then that would be really big for him. It's too bad advance can't gain any card that costs up to 6. You have to gain an action, because otherwise you'd do some cool stuff. Alright, so yeah, this is an obvious duchy and response gain. You have a guardian to protect against stuff and give you an extra money next turn. Oof, that is a rough 7 for Kyle. On the other side of the fence here, we have Trey can at least trash... he walked away from a guaranteed 5 to go for a 3-card hand to try to hit 8. Or something. Oh, that is true. Yeah. That is an interesting observation. I always forget when you play cards as the way, the bottom part still applies. But he goes for buying an estate, which is... that turn perplexes me. He threw away a 5 to go for a 3-card hand to presumably try to hit 8, which is like essentially impossible with this deck. Then he did that over and over again to get a new shuffle where he missed all his cards, and then he bought an estate over a madman. That is... I'm really trying to figure out what he was doing, and it's not coming to me. Meanwhile, Kyle over here buys a duchy, plays a guardian. Pretty standard stuff. Now Kyle has the 1-point lead over Trey. Trey's in a terrible position. He can get a duchy. They can fight this back and forth for a bit. But I just think... And now Kyle's got 8. So 26 to 24. Kyle has to know with how Trey's been playing. Trey hasn't been able to buy a province in maybe 10 turns. So you have to just take the province here. Yeah, you must. And then you just keep going. I would understand the caution in getting a duchy, which I guess he did, but because it's like a little safer if he gets extremely lucky, and I guess he knew he had his vampire coming, but like I don't know. It's not, yeah, like I guess the decision isn't that important, and maybe I'm just rooting for the one that ends the game sooner. Let's be honest, but in this point, it's... Alright, so they're tied up, 27-27. Does Trey have a swamp hag out or anything? Trey is, like, the only way Trey can score provinces if he plays his swamp hag, and he's been, like, steadfastly refusing to do that. So, like, if you're Kyle, you have to see this and go, okay, like, you know, I can kind of do whatever I want, but, you know, why not just try to finish it off? Alright, so he's got 2 swamp hags, which is like, and is going to gain a duchy here. So that's like basically putting on a billboard, I will buy a province next turn, deal with it. And we'll see how Trey responds to that. Trey doesn't have a lot of options though, because does he have a guardian out? Oh, he does. Okay, so that's fine. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of this endgame from Trey's perspective, and I'm just not. Ooh, and he even has pouch. Alright, so that's going to be 10 minimum on this turn. So he'll be able to get province estate or whatever, I guess. I don't know. Province guardian. Yeah, you probably want province guardian and just try to pad your next turn. I think you skip the port play because... Or no, you play the port probably. It's not a big deal. I'm thinking over nothing, basically. See if Pearl Diver can help you seed your next turn. Ooh, okay, so he's got 13 in there. That's province duchy. That locks the game, more or less. Alright, well, good game for Kyle, coming out 5-1 overall in this series. Kyle's definitely got the better command of engines. There's some decision-making tweaks. If I had to offer advice to both of them, I guess I can fill the end of this, because that's what these commentaries are for. For Kyle, you know, you've definitely got you've got good trigger discipline, basically. You've got good, you know, not being overwhelmed by the score. The things to work on Kyle's side are mostly, like, opportunism, looking for little tactics here and there to improve your position. You know, more subtle reads on the board, like the bank payload strategy earlier, or you know, thinking through some of the smaller decisions a bit more. But it's definitely, you know, strong start to Dominion, and I think he's going to do very well in the season. Probably promote to the next level above this if he keeps playing like that. Trey Trey's got a pretty good grip on a basic money strategy that works well on some percentage of boards, but this strategy is not going to really cut it for a lot of league games. League games where people take it more seriously, and league games where there are a lot of complex kingdoms come up frequently. So I think what Trey is going to have to do to improve is to branch out a bit more and start exploring these boards with engines. If I were him, I'd reload these games, pull them up, and kind of just try out the engine that Kyle was building, or try out something similar to what Kyle was doing and see how it feels. Get a sense for how long it takes to build, get a sense for the right order, get a sense for how much trashing will help you. That's probably, if you have to add one thing to your decks, it's trashing. And gradually work in those concepts to your strategies, and then they'll kind of organically become part of your play at that point, and you'll progress very quickly. Because there's a lot of things Trey did do right. A lot of tactical it's kind of the opposite of Kyle. He made some tactical decisions that were pretty good, and but the lack of engine play is, you're basically hitting a brick wall skill wise if you don't add better engine play to your play. But otherwise, very good match between these two competitors. Hopefully, either of you, whoever requested the commentary, I don't actually know who. Hopefully you find this useful. Hopefully you get some good insights, and hopefully I wasn't completely stupid in the commentary. This is the first time I've talked over someone else's game in at least a year. So I definitely might have missed things. Nobody is a genius at Dominion. Nobody knows what we're doing is the big secret. So yeah, and thanks Jerry for spectating and providing some of the valuable insights as to what I missed, especially. That observation was really helpful in these last few games. So yeah, hope you all have a good time, and best of luck in the rest of your league matches. Yeah, have a great day, everybody.